Hey there, everybody. Meteorologist Will Haney here. It is Wednesday night, August 27th. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to give this a few seconds and let some folks hop on. Once that happens, we'll start the conversation. We're going to be talking about some rain on the way for tomorrow and then some gorgeous weather on the way for Labor Day weekend. That will include some chillier nights, so we'll touch on that momentarily. Give me just, like I said, 1 second. I will share this. That's a lovely screenshot that this got of me scratching the back of my neck. We love that. All right. So give me just 2 seconds and we'll get this party started. All right. Okay, cool. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the beautiful weather today. It was pretty chilly out there this morning if you were an early riser. And if you left your windows open last night, as I did, you might have woken up to a little bit of a chill in your house. And I had to layer up a little bit. I refused to turn on the furnace, though. It's still August. Anyways, this is the live look right now in South Haven. It's a beautiful night out there. A little on the chillier side now. Temps have come down about 10 degrees from about 2-3 hours ago. This was a great shot of sunset captured by Susie Farrell. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, out at Goreneck Lake. That's in Portage. Beautiful view there, Susie. We appreciate you capturing that. Saw a little bit of this on my drive back in. And then Tom Slager out in East Laurie Township. That is in Calhoun County, capturing a great kind of perspective there. He said, right moment at the right time, I guess. And you can see that sun kind of setting just behind that little break in the clouds. So just a cool perspective there. So appreciate y'all for always sending in these photos. And those are two great examples. Tonight is probably even a better night, as Candom, if I'm saying that right, is mentioning. Tonight is a great night to open the windows because it won't be quite as cold during the overnight. Temperatures are going to drop into the middle to upper 50s, so still a little on the crisp side, but not the low 40s we saw early today. So yeah, if you have any photos of sunset, feel free to send them my way. The reason why we had such a colorful sunset, at least some of us did, was because we have some high-level clouds streaming in. Those are the kind of clouds you like to see for some more vibrant colors. So as we look at satellite and radar here, of course, probably paying attention to that rain farther north. UP's been getting some rain. Note, not a lot of thunder with that feature right now. That's an area of a cold front that's going to be continuing to form and drop south into the overnight hours. So that is essentially the rain that's on the way for us for tomorrow. I expect it to eventually push in probably closer to about daybreak tomorrow, farther north. So as we look at the cold front timing, this is essentially when the wind is going to shift. That's what the different timing is. And with that, usually ahead of and maybe just after the cold front is kind of your best timing for some of that rain. So from about 7 to 10 a.m., that area farther north, that's where you can expect your best chances for rain. That's not to say it won't rain maybe a little longer than that, but that's just kind of when I expect the majority of it to go through, or also the best chances for some storms potentially as well. Between about 10 a.m. to noon, I think from mid-morning onward, that middle area, you're going to see probably an uptick in just rain and clouds. And then farther south, it might hold on until a little bit later. But again, this is just when it's most likely. It's not to say that, okay, it's just a 10 to noon thing for that area of green. It's just when I can pretty confidently say we'll have some rain and rumbles in the area. So as we look here, just to kind of hammer home that point, so by around 7 a.m., notice how on this depiction it shows most of that energy and most of that rain and maybe a few claps of thunder farther north. It shows some spotty stuff a little farther south, but I don't really put too much stock in that. And then notice by around 10 a.m., again, this front is going to be starting to push a little farther south, probably somewhere across like Montcalm, Kent, Ottawa counties. So you can see that main area of rain starting to push a little farther south. And then closer to about lunchtime, it's starting to push into, again, some of our southernmost counties. So just a different way of looking at the graphic that I just showed. This is obviously the kind of play-by-play as depicted by one of our weather models. So into the later afternoon, we may still see some redevelopment because that front is going to kind of slow down a little bit. So we may still have some brief downpours even through about 2, 3 in the afternoon. Most of this, though, I think is wrapping up by around 4 or 5, and that is in perfect time for some of the high school football games tomorrow evening. And yeah, MSU game Friday night, says Marissa. It is going to be chilly. They are kicking off against Western, so that's going to be an exciting game. And it's over at Michigan State, I think. I'm 90% sure I saw that. Shows you how much I follow it. Katie, good evening. And Brenda's loving the weather from Bloomingdale. We appreciate you. And yeah, David's appreciating the free AC. Yeah, it's kind of funny, just this time of year is when that heat finally sometimes breaks. And I think back to like a week ago, maybe a little bit more than that now, where we were just seeing like highs around 90 and super humid. Now it feels amazing. Goes by quick. Anyways, so yeah, most of that rain tomorrow should not be an issue for any of our football fever games, which it is week 1 of football fever. And we'll see if I can find this graphic quickly. And of course, now I cannot. Where the heck is it? There it is. All right, it was hiding. So yeah, this is the football fever forecast if you're going to any of the high school football games tomorrow. Our game of the week is Lawton at Decatur. So a good matchup there. But yeah, probably middle to upper 60s at kickoff, maybe a few clouds, and then clearing skies closer to 60 by the end of the game. So perfect hoodie weather, which is pretty typical, I feel like, for early in the season where you want to rock that hoodie to get you through the end of the game. A little bit of a breeze too. So again, rain chances for tomorrow, heightened, I would say after about 7 a.m. through about 3 p.m. That's the main window of rain. Nothing severe expected, but we may have a few thunderstorms with some brief heavy rain. Rain tomorrow, I'm not overly impressed with, but generally speaking, I think most of us should see at least some rain, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch for most is what I would say. That exact areas of those swaths of blue that you're seeing there, I wouldn't put too much stock into that. Those are somewhat random. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to, with tomorrow's setup, it's hard to pinpoint exactly who's going to see maybe a more isolated area up to like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I kind of think of it as almost like splatter paint, right? It'd be like if I painted a map mostly green. So it's like, okay, everyone gets a little bit of the, hopefully 1/4 to 1/2 inch. But then I took one other extra paintbrush and I kind of like just randomly splattered on. It's like you guys are the ones that get a little extra, but it is somewhat random given the setup. It's not necessarily easy to pinpoint exactly which towns are going to get a little bit more. So like I said, while this shows maybe a swath through like Allegan, Van Buren County, maybe one in like Northern Kalamazoo, what I'm saying is don't necessarily take that as like super exact. It's just to say that some areas, if you're lucky, could see upwards of like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And that is primarily if we see those thunderstorms and who sees those. The wind shouldn't be much of an issue tomorrow, but you'll notice it. It'll pick up a little bit as that front is going through in the morning, and then pick up a little bit as well into the evening. That's going to be some cooler air starting to push in. And the wind will also shift from kind of southwest initially to more northwest by the end of the day. With those shifting winds and the wind picking up, especially later in the afternoon, the waves are going to build on Lake Michigan as big as 5 to 7 footers. So not that I think many people will be in the water on a day like tomorrow, and especially now that school is in session, but just always remind you, tomorrow is probably a day where you might see some surfers in the water, but not a good day for swimming, and also probably a good day to stay off the piers just to be extra safe as well. So dangerous waves and currents headlined by the National Weather Service. The other thing I will mention is tomorrow we're sort of in that time of the year where some of these first initial kind of pushes of cooler air can sometimes bring the potential for some water spouts on Lake Michigan. So if you're an avid lake watcher or you live along the lake, lucky you, keep your eye open just in case. You might see something kind of cool tomorrow, which is a water spout. Extremely rarely do they ever pose any like real risk, mostly just to boaters, mariners, but even still, they're not like the biggest risk because you can just kind of avoid them usually. But very, very rarely does a waterspout like move on shore. Maybe does some very low end damage. It can like blow a tent or something like that, or I don't know, do like a weaker structure. Anyways, I digress. After tomorrow's kind of dreary day, we get a stretch of fantastic weather. Friday will be pretty cool. Friday is not pictured here, but Friday, upper 60s and sun. After that, Labor Day weekend looks fantastic. We'll have high pressure locked in control, and just kind of steadily warmer each day. Both Friday morning, Saturday morning. Wait, maybe not so much Friday morning. I'll have to look. I can't even remember what low I went with Friday morning. I think so. Let's see. Yeah, so Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning all feature lows in the middle to upper 40s, which is slightly cooler than average. Keep in mind our average low right now is 59 degrees. So these mornings in the 40s are well below average. In fact, today's low was 43 in Kalamazoo. I can show you that really quick, and you'll see it here. Charlotte even made it down to 38. So this was the coldest start since June 2nd, which, fun fact, Kalamazoo was in the 30s that morning, June 2nd, this past June 2nd. So not quite that cold, but the coldest morning we've seen essentially like for most of the summer, if you will. And while Labor Day is kind of the unofficial end of summer, summer won't officially end until September 21st this year, I believe, very early in the morning that day. That is the autumnal equinox or fall equinox or beginning of fall, astronomically speaking. Meteorological fall technically will begin September 1st, which is not the real one, in my opinion. It's just the one that we look at climate records for, because it's easier to break it down by month and by uniform intervals than the astronomical cycle, which fluctuates a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, just another quick glance at the 7-day. You'll have to tune in tonight at 10:11. I'll be breaking all this down, but we appreciate for you tuning in here because we get to talk a little bit more at length. And just really quickly, because I was on a random tangent, why not go even deeper? Because I can pull this up pretty quickly. So waterspouts, y'all, they're most likely this time of year. Ignore that. Ignore that box on the top right. Hold on. We're going to make that go away. Stand by. We're editing on the fly, y'all. That must have been from the last time I was using it. So waterspouts, they form this time of year because this is, like I said, a time of year where we have, our first shots of colder air. So kind of fall-like temperatures moving in. But then Lake Michigan is still very warm by comparison. So that generates rising motion over the lake. You get something, shifting of the winds at the surface. That can be like a front. That can be a interaction between a cold front moving in and a lake breeze. It can be a lot of different things. But tomorrow with that cold front moving in, we might get just enough surface convergence. So basically like wind coming together and maybe changing direction a little bit at the surface to generate a little bit of spin. So again, that general rising motion with warmer water, colder air aloft can kind of almost like pick up one of those areas of spin and stretch it into the vertical. So that generates that condensation funnel that you sometimes see, and then sometimes that mist as well gets kind of like pulled up from the lake. It's not like literally, it's not pulling like a straw of water up into the clouds. Like it kind of does look like, it looks like an elephant trunk, right? Sometimes like sucking the water up. It's only a little bit. There's more like, it's more condensation and then a spray ring along the water surface. So again, this is a very low chance tomorrow. I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. Like, unless you're an avid lake watcher / weather junkie, which is okay. That is a good thing. I wouldn't say like you need to like plan the day to go watch waterspouts tomorrow. It's a very low chance. I'm just saying, keep an eye out just in case. But that's kind of how they form. And this is, like I said, it's kind of an interesting topic this time of year because this is the time of year we tend to start to see them. So with that, I'm going to leave it to y'all to tune in tonight at 10 and 11. I appreciate all of you. Let's read through some of these comments. Carla in West Portage, 43 degrees this AM. I believe it. That matches the airport, Carla. And yeah, my house is pretty cold this morning when I woke up. Hey, Michelle. What's up, David? What's up, Marissa? We were talking about that MSU game. And Brenda's back from Florida, y'all. Back from Florida. You timed it out. You timed it out pretty well, Brenda, because it's pretty nice right now. All right. Evening, Katie. Hello, Brenda again. Craig, what's up? Candom. Happy 3rd birthday. Gizmo. Jesse, what's up? All right. Should you lock up the animals tomorrow in the barn? I think they'll be okay, Jesse. Unless they're really petrified by just a clap of thunder, it's not looking severe. So no threat really, other than they might get a little wet. And if they're really freaked out by thunder, then maybe do what you think is best. Tomorrow, 70 degrees, the high, and we will see some thunderstorms again, but nothing severe expected. Okay. Timmy, bringing the Battle Creek in the house. What's up? Jesse, I'm frozen. Uh-oh. I hope not. Oh, no. All right. Well, that's my cue. Some people are saying I'm frozen and my audio isn't working. So, bye, everybody.